you're making your walking dinosaur footprints using the Full Steam Ahead kit from the public library, you will have an empty roll of packing tape, 2 wooden skewers, 2 short lengths of plastic straw, and your dinosaur footprint cutouts. If you are doing this without the kit, you can make this same craft just using any roll of duct tape or packing tape or something similar. These skewers are approximately 15 centimeters long. A little bit longer would be fine. The lengths of straw are the length of the width of the tube that you will be using. And your footprints just need to be about twice the length or a little bit longer the diameter of the tube you'll be using. You're also going to need to find some sticky tape at home, something along the lines of masking tape, duct tape, or packing tape is going to work a little bit better than this clear Scotch tape. First up, we're going to use our straws and skewers to make 2 little axle mechanisms that look like this. I've already made one, now let's make the other. First, we need to cut our tape the correct size. I'm using masking tape, and what I'm going to do is take this little length that's a few centimeters long, I'm going to attach it to the edge of a box or a table, and then carefully cut up the length of it, making some skinnier tape. This is going to be a little less than a centimeter in width, and that'll work just fine. Now I'm going to take my other skewer and carefully just wrap it around the end, trying to keep it all overlapping each other instead of covering the whole length of the skewer. Once that's done, we're going to take the straw, slide it on, make sure it can turn freely, and then take the other length of tape and repeat the process on this side, leaving a little bit of space and being very, very careful to make sure that the tape is not going over top of the straw. We need the straw to be able to move freely, to spin without getting stuck on the tape. So we need 2 of those little axles that are going to be attached to our tube, but instead of going right in the middle like an axle would on most wheels, these are going to be attached to the sides. Grab your tube or your roll of tape and one of the axles. It is going to go right along the inside. You should see that the straw can go from edge to edge on the inside. And looking at it from the top, you want to see this right angle of the axle coming out the side straight. You're making a right angle in that corner. It's not like that. It's not like that. That is very important. It's going to help your feet roll smoothly. Now you're going to tape it to the inside. You don't have to be shy about tape. You really want that to stick really firmly. But at the same time, you want to make sure you're not accidentally taping the skewer to the wheel, because we want everything to still spin really smoothly. Every time you stick something together, pause and give it a spin and make sure it's still turning. Then you are going to do the exact same thing on the other side. You spin it so this one that you've already stuck is at the top, directly right across the circle. You're going to put your other one, and the skewer is sticking out on the opposite side. We don't want to do it this way. That's not going to work. We need it to be right on that opposite side, and carefully sticking some tape in there, double checking to make sure we have a right angle. So it's coming out perpendicular to the edge of the tube. And that one still spins. There we go. I think we're ready for our next step. It's time to attach our dino feet to the skewers. If you have done a really nice job of coloring your dinosaur feet, if you've done all sorts of decorating, we are going to be taping to the bottom of the feet. So if you've done lots of decorating, flip them over to make sure that you're putting the tape on the bottom of the feet. We also need to take a close look at how our feet are lining up with the rest of our machine. We're going to use some tape to tape the skewer down flat towards the front of the foot. We don't want to put it right in the middle. We don't want to put it at the back. It needs to be towards the front. And when we're taping, we need to be very, very careful to make sure that when we spin this around, the back of the foot is not bumping against this part of our machine. Because if it does, if I taped it this way and we're trying to spin, it would keep tripping itself and then it won't work very well. So be very careful when you are putting your dinosaur feet together that the heel of the dinosaur foot is not going to get caught on the rest of it. So we've taped that first one down and we will repeat on the second one. There we go. I have a nice big piece of tape right there. You can put some more down if you want, but the feet are pretty light, so they should not get caught. All right, so I'm gonna flip it over, and when I give it a little push, it's walking. Momentum is the tendency of an object to keep moving once you've put it in motion. And an interesting thing about momentum is that the higher the mass of the object is, or the heavier it is, the more momentum it has, and the longer and farther it will roll right off the table. If you build your walking feet on a full roll of packing tape or duct tape instead of an empty tube, you're going to find that your feet will walk farther and in a straighter line than on just an empty tube. So if you have an extra roll around the house, just repurpose your pieces from your walking feet and try it again to see if you can go farther. If you don't have a roll of tape at home, see what you can do to try to increase the mass or make this heavier so you can get that extra momentum. One way that I figured out how to do this is I found some plasticine at home, some modeling clay, and I made a long skinny snake that's about the size, there we go, it's about as big around as my tube. So what I'm going to do is take this and gently put it inside the tube and squeeze it in there so that it is increasing the weight or the mass of my dino feet. And I think this might make it go a little farther. Give something like this a shot. If you don't have clay or even Play-Doh at home, what else could you put on the inside to make the whole thing heavier? What happens if you put all the weight on one side instead of evenly distributed around your tube? These are all good questions. It's time to experiment. My biggest challenge here turned out to be pushing all of these dino feet in a straight line. But I did see the results I was expecting, which was the empty roll went the shortest distance, then the one with the clay insert went somewhere in the middle, and the longest was the full roll. So I thought I would build a ramp and see if that would help me with sending things in a straight line. The empty roll did not like that one very much and didn't go very far at all. The full roll ended up going quite a bit farther. The pink marker on the right there is where it went the first time. And the clay insert down the ramp actually only went a tiny bit further than the first time I pushed it with my hand. So what do you know? I hope you do some experimenting at home with different sizes of ramps and different types of materials. And I'd love to hear what happens with your dino feet.